What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sales Remastered. I'm your host, Daniel. Today is Thursday and also video 4 of 5. To recap on the video series, this past Monday, I started with video 1. The topic was insecurity. I shared with you how insecurity can hold you back and how you can ultimately leverage your insecurities to push you forward. And then I followed up that topic of insecurity with episode number 2 or video number 2. And that actually covered motivation. And I believe it goes in order because you have to get past your insecurities in order to find the motivation to push through, right? And because if you're insecure, even motivation is not going to push you out of your comfort zone. And so I shared with you how motivation can also have two sides of the sword, right? Like you can be motivated to stay completely stagnant, stay still, not move forward, or you can be motivated to move forward. And so I shared with you how motivation can be an anchor or it can be a boost, an injection of just straight fire just to push you and motivate you. And then after motivation, which was yesterday, video 3 of 5, I touched on a topic of faith. And I think that after you pass your insecurity, after you find the motivation, now you're going to need faith. However, I shared with you how also faith could be a double-edged sword. You could have faith that things will just come to you, so you're going to be kind of motivated to just sit and wait. Or faith can show you how to continue pushing forward even though you don't see the results right away, even though you don't see the income right away, even though you don't see the success immediately. You have to use faith in order to continue pushing forward. And now we're on Thursday, video 4 of 5. And on this video is going to follow up again, insecurity to motivation to faith, and now to awareness. And why I think awareness is going to be a key topic in this 5 things to succeed or 5 ways to succeed video series is because I think awareness can apply on so many different levels, and I'm going to touch basically on 2 of them right now. And it's going to have to do with like self-aware and just being aware of the opportunities in front of you. And so, I've dove deep into my background with regards to where I grew up, how I grew up, things that I experienced within my life, and ultimately how I came about into the industry and what I do for a living today. And every one of these topics played a role in my journey. Nonetheless, of course, awareness did as well. And awareness, to me, how I can apply it towards kind of my experience is that, when coming up from adversity and being fortunate enough to be able to see both sides of the fence, because a majority of the audience, a majority of people in society kind of grow up one specific way, and it's just a way that they're accustomed to. Wherever you are in the US, it's different, right? And so, you may have came from a broken home or you may have came from the perfect home. It really doesn't matter. To a degree it matters, but you're going to be able to filter that out on your own. And that background or that experience or that way of life is going to play a role in how you perceive things and how aware you really are, right? And so, for example, I'm using my own kids kind of just to kind of elaborate and dive a little bit deeper onto the meaning of awareness. But my kids right now, when they walk to school, like my son, if he walks to school right now, I'm aware that he didn't have the same challenges that I had walking to school, which could have been getting jumped, getting sweated by older kids. Sweated meaning that they're trying to punk you or trying to take things from you. I'm aware that the neighborhood that I am raising my family in is nothing like the neighborhood that I grew up in, and I'm aware of what it took for me to get there, right? And so this is what I mean by awareness, and how it first came about. Was actually transitioning from the telemarketing position to a telesales position. And it was it was because of awareness that I didn't sit stagnant. And that's why sometimes if you look at a customer service department, you got people that are pretty old inside that department. Nothing against them. If that's you, nothing against you. But I think that there are key things that could have catapulted you into sales. Because if you think about it, telemarketing that's just it. It's marketing over the telephone, right? And so you're doing like a lot of outbound calls, and you're trying to market your service to gain interest so you can transfer to a salesperson. Or maybe you possibly could be selling it yourself. So that's telesales. And so it because of awareness, me being aware that I actually had a pretty good talent of being on the phone and extracting personal information over the phone, and persuading people to spend more time with me over the phone, persuading them to tell me things that they wouldn't normally tell a stranger over the phone. And I had a talent at doing that, and I was aware that that talent would enable me to get out of the environment that I was in. And so instead of being in a telemarketing role where, you know, the commission or the bonus or the rips or whatever you want to call it was rather small, and you had the perks of, you know, being a part-time shift employee versus a full-time, because that's really the big kind of just the big shift, right? It's the lesser responsibility in the lower subordinate roles, and it's all on how you perceive it. It's all on what you're aware of, right? Are you going to look at it and kind of just see it as a grind, like, oh fuck, I gotta clock in? Or are you gonna see it and look at it as a stepping stone, because you're aware that there is a process, that there is a climb to get to where you eventually want to be? Are you even aware of where you want to be? And you may not, and that's okay. I wasn't aware of where the fuck I wanted to be, you know, at the age of 20 years old. You know, when I got into real estate as a telemarketer, I was 20 years old. And, you know, I was working a part-time job as a telemarketer for a mortgage company, and then also a part-time job as a telemarketer for AT&T, selling services over the phone. And so, you know, they both had their own different challenges. Other people were, you know, but the most common challenges were the same, right? The I don't have time, I'm not interested, I'm taken care of, and I not, you know, just take me off your calling list, or put me on your do not call list. And so I was aware of those common objections, because I continued the repetition. I continued to do what I had to do. And if I didn't continue to do what I had to do, or if I didn't have a rebellious ear over my corporate trainer, my sales trainer, who told me smile while you dial, you know, saying all this cheesy shit that I think was just more contradictory. If anything, they're teaching you how to blend in with the other salesmen. I think the only real way to now generate sales is be a little bit different. And so I always was. I loved using creativity. Creativity was my shit, you know, and I just wanted to do it in a different way. And, you know, creativity and having fun with it. And I think that is what set me apart. It's what set my mindset apart, is because everyone else in my department looked at it as a grind. They looked at it as like, fuck, I didn't get that one. And then they'd sink deeper and deeper and deeper. But because I was aware of my environment, and I was aware of what didn't work and what did work, my awareness enabled me to grow. It enabled me to, you know, not react the normal way. So if I saw fucking Susie next door to me upset because she couldn't get one fucking application all day, and she's huffing and puffing, she's taught every other fucking word out of her mouth as a negative comment, you know, she's blaming everything under the sun except herself, you know, that type of individual. I was fortunate enough to be aware that that was her choice, as opposed to not being aware and feeding into it. You know, like, be like, fuck yeah, Susie, fuck this place, these fucking leads, Susie, god damn it, these motherfuckers, Susie, fuck them, right? Like, feed into it. And believe me, that shit happens. You know, I listen to salesmen all the time. I live in the sales environment, and that's just what happens. Some people are just meant to follow, and some people are just meant to say shit or do shit to see if they get a reaction, to see who's with them, to see if they get a laugh, to see if they are accepted. And when I became aware that none of that shit mattered, I didn't give a fuck if Susie thought I was funny. I didn't give a fuck if Peter liked what I was wearing. I didn't give a fuck. Does that make sense? Like, I was just like, hey, bro, I'm here to do what I got to do, because I was aware that if I continued talking to Susie, or I befriended Susie, I would be more like Susie, right? But if I saw that fucking Jim was killing it on the fucking floor, I was aware that I'm going to hang out with Jim versus Susie. Because if I hang out with fucking Susies, I'm going to become a fucking Susie. Does that make sense? But you have to be aware. You just have to be aware of these things. Some people go throughout life choosing not to be aware. And the reason why they choose not to be aware is because it is more difficult to be aware. When you are aware, you're going to see opportunities in front of you. And people choose not to be aware because they just don't want to react on the opportunity. Why don't they want to react on the opportunities? Because of all the topics I just covered. Insecurity, lack of faith, right? Lack of motivation. And they are just simply not aware of the opportunity that they have before them. And if they are aware, but they're not executing any action on that opportunity, then they are more or less in denial, right? Like, they're aware of it, it's there, and this exists right now. This exists. I did a live story on my way home from the gym, and I talked about, a top producer on my team right now currently leads the entire fucking company in production. The entire company. In case you don't know anything about my company, I work for a national size corporation. We're doing $1 billion a month in production. We're a fucking hitter. We're a player in this real estate finance game. And this individual, who I'm fortunate enough to have on my team, he is the #1 agent, like just fucking lapping fools, you know what I mean? Like lapping people in sold units and locked loans in production. And what baffled me, and what I shared on that live video, was right behind him, another person on my team who is in the bottom 20% of the company. So how is it that someone right behind you could be just fucking dominating the game, but yet you, who sits right next to him, are not? And what was even funnier, and I shared this, is that these individuals sometimes may go out to lunch, or they may go out on a break. And I always wonder, like, hey man, are you picking his brain? Are you finding out what he does? Because his results are different than yours. Are you aware that you can ask him for the help? Are you aware that you can listen up and actually take the techniques, and take the strategies, and take the tools, and take the techniques and word and verbiage and practices and regimen and structure and organization and habits and all that shit? Are you aware that you can study it because it's right behind you? Some people are not. Some people are just going to stay in their own zone. They're going to have the tunnel vision. They're going to block everything out. And I know what that feels like, because I did that. There's a lot of shit I'm aware of right now, fucking years later, that I was not aware of at the time. And because of that, I let it slip by me. Like, I shared a story about how, when before the market tanked and it collapsed, I had a lot of older, veterans in my sales floor giving me props because I was killing it. I was making a shitload of money, and it were these veterans that actually tried to give me some insight and say, hey, young buck, you're doing good right now. You're making really good money, but it's not always going to be like this. You got to prepare for, a rainy day. You got to be able to kind of shift that money and put it in other things besides cars, rims, watches, and fucking clothes. And, I just wasn't aware, right? I wasn't aware that what they could be saying has some truth. I wasn't, because, coming from my background, shit, I was a rebel to authority. I didn't care. I looked at older people and just like, something within me, it pushed me away. Like, fuck this. And, I'm the new age, right? Like, hey man, I got this, bro. You go ahead and you enjoy the show. Kind of that sense of pride. And I think it has something to do with my background, but at least now I'm fortunately aware that I reacted that way. So I learned from it, and I'm not going to do it again. And that's what I hope to be for you. I hope to be the veteran on maybe not your sales floor, but on your social feed. I would like to be the veteran on your Facebook feed. I would like to be the veteran giving you a YouTube notification in the morning. I would like to be the veteran that you could DM And just like any others, all the others who already DM me, I take the time to use my experience to devise a plan for you, because it's a win-win. Number one is it gives me content so that I could share with everyone else the trials and tribulations that that individual's going through. I'm sure all of you guys are going through, and so I'll produce the content for it. And me giving time and kind of problem solving and saying, hey, all right, this is what I would do if I was in the business. I would do A, B, and C. This is the script I would use. I would use this wordage, and this is how I'd extract it, and this is how I'd pitch it. And that's some fucking gold right there. I never had access to that. I mean, I had fucking great sales managers. They wouldn't even tell me that shit. Like, you know, your sales floor, that you just might have a manager, they just fucking throw you into the tank, right? Like, swim, motherfucker. You know, like, good luck. And there's no support, there's no mentoring, there's no sales advice. The only sales advice you can get is from, you know, the fucking the person next to you, someone else in your cube. And it's hard to get advice from a veteran because they're just on some other different level, or the top producer of your team because they're just too fucking busy, or it's too intimidating to be the rookie to go up to that veteran and say, hey veteran, can you show me how to play this game? And not have that sense of pride. But when you become aware that that's all it is pride, when you become aware that that top producer was in your shoes at one point, and when you become aware that you do have a mentor like Sales Remastered, that you do have the option with a push of a screen to put me on your feed, you are lifted, you are set free, you are uncaged. You know, that word limit becomes limitless. The barriers, the walls that you are putting in front of you, you standing in your own way is no more. You know, you're not creating these blocks, these imaginary illusions of reasons why, of excuses. You are aware that there are choices. You are aware that to do or to watch are options. You are aware of these facts. And that's why, my friend, I think awareness is key, because after you get past security, after you build up the motivation, and after you find your faith, you need to be aware of everything that is going to still be around you in order to continue letting those components be your pillars to get higher and higher and higher. And so, you know, these topics, and tomorrow is going to be the video 5 of 5, and I'm excited for you guys because that video is just going to fucking light it up. And I hope that someone who goes through these series, you know, actually sits through each and every video. And I know it's about 15 to 20 minutes long, but I mean, shit, you know, how long is your commute? Listen to it in commute and understand that none of these were scripted. You know, a lot of the topics I came right offhand were thought of right before I pushed record. And you might be thinking, oh, Daniel, how come you didn't script it? Or Daniel, you could have fucking put some fucking time into it and made it more organized and made it more neat. And that's your opinion. It's just, you know, I want to be able to freestyle it per se, not scripted, because I want it to come from the heart. I want it to be off of some relevant shit. And if I script it, I have what's called, you know, like, I've been trying to write a book for about a year now. But the problem is that I continue wanting to revise it. I continue wanting to go back, and then next thing you know, chapter 1 is fucking 900 pages. Chapter 2 is like 30 pages, right? And so it's just constantly back and forth. And so it's because it's evolving. And so I think that me documenting is going to help to that cause, you know, and I'd like your feedback. If I was to put a book together, would you be interested in buying it? Would you be interested in even downloading it? Would you fucking read it? Would you be aware of the other content that are on these channels and say, hey, yo, this dude knows what the fuck he's talking about. Hey, bro, if you write a book, swipe up right now and just, you know, hit me on the comment. Like, hey, man, I got that book. Let me know when that comes out. Let me know. So I look forward to your comments. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the attention. Thank you so much. I will see you on the next video, which will be video 5 of 5. Topic is to be determined. I'll come up with some shit because I'm creative like that. And while I do, I hope that this video helps you. It helps you get past your challenge. It helps you get past the excuse that you're telling yourself as to why you can't be better than the next man, or why you can't be the top of your sales floor, why you can't graduate from your environment and move the fuck on to an environment that's going to do you right, and an environment that you deserve. So I hope that resonates. Think about this message, and I will see you at the top. Bye.